Because we all need more Art the Clown in our lives. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with All Hallows Eve. So all I know about this is it's kind of a prequel to the Terrifier movies. It's kind of where Art the Clown originated. And that's pretty much what I know. Um, I think I've seen like an image or maybe very small clip, and I think Art the Clown looked different. Like the look hadn't been fully completed by this point, which makes sense. Especially with the makeup and everything, it wasn't quite on point. Like the Terrifier movies really perfected that. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much my knowledge of this film. It's not a long film. It's like an hour 20 minutes, so it's pretty short. But one thing I do want to touch on is why am I doing this now? It's called All Hallows Eve. Wouldn't this make more sense as a Halloween reaction? Well, the reason I'm choosing to do this movie, which by the way is a donation reward for Venom, no surprise there. Um, the reason deciding to do this movie now at the end of March is because exactly what I said in the cold open. We need more Art the Clown in our lives, and this is something with him that I have not seen. Um, the reason I'm not doing this later is because at the end of the year, we're getting Terrifier 3. I want something to kind of bridge the gap a little bit, give us something earlier in the year to watch in this regard. And then by the end of the year, we'll not have had as long between Terrifiers 2 and 3 to have seen more Art the Clown. Um, there'll have been like a little bit of a buffer period in there that I can work with a little easier, I guess you could say. So that's why we're doing this now. Just to get some more Art the Clown content that I haven't seen before Terrifier 3 comes out at the end of this year. And just an acknowledgement for Terrifier 3. Yes, that will be a reaction. It's already been requested. Um, it's coming out like in October, but it probably won't be on streaming by Halloween. However, Terrifier 3 is going to be a Christmas movie as well. It's kind of like, Nightmare Before Christmas, where it's both a Halloween and a Christmas movie. So if it's out on streaming by Christmas time, that works. That will work. I'd definitely be willing to react to it around that time. And yeah, because again, it more than likely won't be out by Halloween time. Um, on streaming specifically. So yeah. I don't know anything else about this movie. The title All Hallows Eve. It's just like, oh, Halloween time. Doesn't tell me anything. Also, when looking this up, apparently there's multiple horror movies called All Hallows Eve. There's like three of them, I think. Um, so that's interesting. Um, but yeah, I'm very excited to see this. David Thornton does a great job as Art the Clown, and this was like what his first time playing the character. So I want to see how different it is, especially compared to how Art the Clown is in the actual Terrifier series. I have to assume it's pretty much the same in a lot of ways, but there might be some small differences that, you know, things that were fine tuned and tweaked for the main movie series. So, that being said, we're going to get into this and see what this movie has in store. I know, kind of going in a weird order here, going back to the origins after seeing the first two movies, but still. Let's see how it goes. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I know it was like starting to go to like a little credit scene thing when I stopped it. It was literally just the same thing as from the end of the movie that she was watching the VHS. Just art, like, slowly walking towards the screen in that like boiler room area. Just a creepy little ending thing, just to like make it seem like, oh, you're watching the video now. Get it? Not really much of anything to talk about. It's literally the same thing that she just witnessed on there. Okay, so this was All Hallows Eve, and yeah, it was good. Not great. I would not put it on the same level as the Terrifier films, but that's kind of to be expected. I actually want to check. Was this Damien Leone's like first film? Because I could believe it. It was definitely rough around the edges and had some work that needed to be done. And that was perfected eventually in the actual Terrifier movies. I'm curious. Let me see if I can find out here. Filmography. No. In fact, this was after. Wait. Okay, I'm a little confused here. So this came out in 2013. He was director, writer, and producer. But according to this, there was something in 2011 called Terrifier. But it's not the Terrifier we know, I guess, because the Terrifier we know came out in 2016. Also, he had something in 2008 called The Ninth Circle. Let me see if I can find something on this. No, it doesn't say anything on here about it. Let me see if I can look it up. 2011. Terrifier 2011. Okay, it was a short. Apparently, the 2011 one was a short. After witnessing a brutal murder on Halloween night, a young woman becomes the next target of a maniacal. Oh, was that just the third segment of this? I think that was just the third segment of this. Okay. Let me check All Hallows Eve here. Yes, it incorporates footage from the Ninth Circle as well. That must have been the Satan one. Okay. It incorporates footage from the 2008 short film The Ninth Circle as well as the 2011 short film Terrifier, both of which were also directed by Leone and featured Art the Clown. Yeah. Okay, I got it now. So, The Ninth Circle and Terrifier, the 2011 one, were two short films that Damien Leone directed, wrote, and produced in 2008 and 2011, respectively. And then in 2013, he added those together along with a third segment to create, as well as, original content for the overarching story of the people watching the VHS, to create All Hallows Eve. Okay, so I get you. So technically, yes, this was his first thing, because it's literally using footage from his first two things prior to this. Other than this and the Terrifier trilogy, he's also done a couple other things. Apparently, there's one called Frankenstein versus the Mummy from 2015. There's a second All Hallows Eve movie, apparently, that was released in 2015 as well. And then there's a movie from this year that's apparently coming up called Stream. I'm not seeing a specific date for it, though. So I'm guessing it's not out yet. But apparently it's going to have Jeffrey Combs in it, as well as Tony Todd and David Howard Thornton again. It's called Stream. So I wonder if it's in any way connected. But it's not out yet, and there's no specific release date listed for it. But apparently it also says he's not director, writer, or producer for it. So I wonder, how it's connected. Because it's listed in his filmography. Is he just a star in it? Does he like, is he an actor in that one? Maybe. It's possible. Um, and as a note, for Frankenstein versus the Mummy, um, he was not a producer. And for All Hallows Eve 2, he is not director and writer. Oh, hold on, I found something here. Okay, there's more to this. Okay, so for Stream, he is doing makeup and special effects. Okay, that's how it's connected. Um, which he also did for pretty much everything except All Hallows Eve 2. That's the only one he didn't do makeup and special effects for. He was also editor on most of it. The only things he wasn't editor for was the Ninth Circle, which was the demon one we saw in this. All Hallows Eve 2 and Stream. He's not editor on those. But he's editor on everything else. Okay, so this all kind of is like this shared universe almost, it seems. Though I don't know about Frankenstein versus the Mummy and Stream. Hard to say with that. Um, but it seems like everything else is connected. So, yeah. So let's talk about this. So we have our main story again. We have this babysitter who is the friend of the parents of these two kids. She's watching them on Halloween night. The parents, I guess, are at work or something. Doesn't I don't think it ever actually says. I assume at work or something like that. And so they're counting their candy and everything after trick or treating. They're going to carve a pumpkin, but the babysitter doesn't want to. So instead, they end up watching this VHS that the boy finds in his candy bag that he doesn't remember anyone putting in there. So, kind of mysterious there. But again, as I've said multiple times in the reaction, Art the Clown does feature a lot of supernatural elements. So, they watch it, and it's an anthology of three separate stories. Um, and between each story, there's a little more of the main like plot with this babysitter and the two kids explored. Like they're sent to bed and everything, and you see like there's someone in the closet and all kinds of stuff. But a lot of that really just sets up for the end, which I'll get to. Let's talk about each of the three segments. So the first segment was, I guess, the Ninth Circle. We have this girl sitting in a train station alone. She's waiting for the train, but it's going to be running a little late. There's these two that come in, I guess other like teens or whatnot, young adults maybe, who were out, partying and whatnot on Halloween and looking to bum a smoke off of her. She doesn't have it. They leave. Kind of a pointless moment, but whatever. Art the Clown then shows up out of nowhere and starts messing with her, as he does. And he then proceeds to drug her and kidnap her. And I'll get to the rest in a moment, but I want to talk about Art the Clown. So let me see. Let me get this name real quick. I should still have the thing up here. All Hallows Eve. Uh, da, 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 da. Cast. Mike Gianelli. So Mike Gianelli is Art the Clown here instead of David Howard Thorne. And you can tell there is a difference in obviously the face and everything. The makeup is a little different too. The biggest thing of note is that he's nowhere near as expressive as Art the Clown is in the Terrifier movies. David Howard Thorne has this like stretchy expressiveness, almost Jim Carrey like, to his different faces. Whether it be like a sad face, a serious face, a happy face, laughing. And this actor, I'm not going to say is bad by any means. He's just not as expressive, and it does take away a little bit. Mind you, if I had seen this first, I don't know what I would think in comparison because my experience would be different. But I had seen Terrifier and the second Terrifier movie before I had seen this. So my experience with this was more, you know, focused on what I already knew about the character. Otherwise, he played the character pretty much the same. Like the personality, the way he acted, pretty much exactly the same. I kind of give that more to David for kind of capturing those mannerisms and even improving on them in the Terrifier films. Because it's definitely on Michael here for kind of getting those mannerisms down in the first place. Even the way he laughs, even though it's not as expressive, the way he laughs and points at his victims, yeah, that's very much the Art the Clown we know. The way his face will change suddenly and stuff, the way he like observes his victims and future victims and whatnot, it's like, yeah, it very much is Art the Clown still. And of course, a lot of that comes down to not just the acting, but the directing and everything as well. Because obviously, both actors have been directed to, well, act this way. Because that's what Damien Leone clearly had in mind for how Art the Clown acts. He's silent, he never even makes a sound. He's creepy and goofy and silly. He laughs a lot. He jokes around a lot. He smiles a lot. And yeah, I think that just down to that aspect, it's still the same Art the Clown. The face and makeup is just a little, less high quality, and this actor just isn't as expressive. I wonder if that's why he was recast. Like, I'm genuinely kind of curious if that was the reason that he was recast. Maybe Damien Leone wanted someone who was a little more expressive, who had a little bit more of that stretchy face to them. I don't know, and I'm not going to just assume, but I'm just curious. So yeah, the first segment, after going back to that, after the girl is kidnapped by Art the Clown, she wakes up in this sewer system, I would say, with two other girls. These other two have been there for a longer time, and there used to be another girl there with them who had been dragged away by her chains and, like, very obviously killed, though they don't know that for sure. Um, at that point. And this left these two girls, like, obviously deathly afraid to act or do anything. They have no real hope. But the new girl, like, she's a little more proactive. She wants to take charge. Like, the only thing they can seemingly do is go down that pathway, go down the sewer pathway and see what happens. And with the idea that it's better than just sitting there waiting to die. While they're arguing about it, though, one of the girls, Sarah, I think her name was, is dragged off to her death. Our main girl convinces the other girl to go forward, and they eventually do end up coming across these, like, mutant demons or something. It's at one point, I think the kid in, like, the main story, I think he calls them, like, witches or something. But it's like the main one at the end, who's like kind of like, as they said, raping the girl, is referred to as like Satan and all, and kind of looks like a devil figure. And it's like, it's just kind of questionable as to what all of them are supposed to be. Are they supposed to be like mutant witches who summoned Satan? Are they demons? Are they just, I don't know what the deal, it's not entirely clear. Obviously it's not meant to be, but still. But yeah, they're attacked by one of them. This mutant ends up chopping the one girl, the one who had been there before with Sarah, up into pieces. Our new girl ends up getting away because her chain is chopped, but she ends up getting captured anyway, by another mutant, and that's when the entire thing with Satan comes in. And yeah, it doesn't actually show like the sexual assault or anything. It shows like her get her clothes ripped off and Satan like coming towards her, but then it just cuts off and it never continues past that. So I don't know if there's more in the actual Ninth Circle, because it did say it used footage from the Ninth Circle. So I assume it didn't use all of it. So maybe it does continue on in the actual thing. Um, but that's when the first video is cut off. The first part of the anthology is cut off by the babysitter. The kids are sent to bed and everything. And eventually she decides she needs to see more. She's too invested. She's too interested. The babysitter needs to see more. So she turns on for the next segment of the anthology, which is this one, which is the new one. It's not one that was based off of one of the ones that had been shown prior, one of the short films. This woman is alone in her house. Her husband is an artist but is out at the moment. So she's just kind of like, it looks like they just either moved in or something like that, because there's these boxes around, boxes of stuff still. I don't remember if it said anything specifically about that. But there ends up being this shaking and flashing light and all. And it seems like something has fallen from the sky. Like the idea of a meteorite is brought up, an airplane, a helicopter, all kinds of stuff like that. And I'm really surprised and kind of upset at myself that I didn't put the alien thing together sooner, because it kind of feels obvious. But hindsight is 2020, you know? So she's freaking out, wondering what's going on. The lights aren't working. There's noises about. She tries to end up leaving, just basically saying, fuck it, I'm out of here for the night. But the car won't start either. All the lights are out, the car won't start, nothing's working properly, so she just goes back in and, yeah, ends up coming face to face with an alien. It seems like there's only one, but at first I thought there were like two, because there was the one alien, then she ran off, and it seems like came face to face with another after that. So it's like, I don't know, but then there was only one in the end, and it's like, I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure. So she's trying to run away and hide from the alien. The alien uses like this tech to cause her to scream, because it's a very, very shrill noise that like hurts the shit out of her ears and stuff, causes her nose to bleed. She gets caught a couple times, escapes a couple times, gets on the phone with her husband a couple times, but nothing's really like working out. And yeah, it's all kind of like, I guess you could say like going downhill progressively. And she's being dragged away. I was trying to remember exactly how this ended, because it ended kind of like very suddenly without like any real resolution. She's being dragged away by the alien. She ends up peeling the cover off of this painting that her husband had done but doesn't remember having done. This creepy face that I guess he saw in his dreams, and it's Art the Clown. And then that segment just ends. There's no resolution. We don't know if she was like killed or anything. We don't know what the painting meant. There's no resolution and no real connectivity to it. It was honestly the weakest of the segments, and considering it wasn't one of the previous short films, that kind of tracks. It felt like it was thrown in just to have a third segment, although it was, the second segment in this case. But then we have the third segment, which is based on the 2011 Terrifier short film. And this one, you have this woman comes into a gas station, one of those that isn't self-serve. And she ends up trying to find where the attendant is, and eventually finds that he's berating Art the Clown, who she just sees as this weird guy in a clown suit. Apparently, he had done what he does in the first Terrifier movie, and smeared shit and piss and everything all over the bathroom. So you can very much see where a lot of the stuff from the Terrifier movies came from in these shorts and all. There's a lot of connectivity there. But yeah, he ends up getting berated. He stares at the girl, stares back at the attendant. Excuse me. And he ends up going on his way. The attendant helps her fill up her tank, but hears a noise and goes back into the gas station. After a little bit, she goes in to try and find him to see where he's gone. And she ends up coming across Art the Clown chopping up his body with a saw, with a hacksaw. Very, very Art the Clown. So she, of course, runs out, pukes, and drives away. Natural reaction. And at that point, he ends up appearing in front of her, which obviously is not possible outside of supernatural means. And basically, this entire chase begins. She starts speeding down the street, almost gets hit. Art the Clown tries to break into her car. And eventually, when she stops with this other car stopped on the street, she thinks she can get help for some reason. I wouldn't trust that at that point. But at that point, we know Art does sneak into her car because later on he, attacks her in it. It's just this big old chase thing where he's after her the entire time. Like, she locks herself in a shed at one point, but he digs his way in, I guess. And yeah, eventually, like, he does capture her, cuts off her arms and legs, cuts off her tits, carves, insulting words into her. Just terrible time overall. And this part of the video of the VHS that the babysitter is watching ends with Art the Clown appearing like towards the screen and like interacting with her. So she has to pull out the VHS and destroy it, but doesn't seem to help matters. She hears a scream from upstairs, goes up to find Art the Clown standing there, laughing, covered in blood, pointing towards the room the children are in. He disappears. She goes in, finds that both of the children have been violently and horrifically murdered and cut up. And thus ends the film. Like I said, it's good. It's not great. It's not as good as the actual Terrifier films. There is a lot of, pun intended, choppiness to it. But you can clearly see where all of this started. How all of this became what we got in the two Terrifier movies and the upcoming third. While this actor isn't as expressive as David Howard Thorne, he still plays the role wonderfully. Like, again, the mannerisms are great. They just remain the same no matter which actor is performing. Excuse me. The character is still very entertaining and fun to watch. Still a great villain. All the victims, it's like you feel for them, you want them to escape, but at the same time, you're kind of enjoying seeing, in a sick, twisted way, you're kind of enjoying seeing them, like, be caught and everything. Just from the different segments and all, I like how they were all very different. You have, like, this mutant witches cult, I guess, with the devil and everything in the first one. Very hell-based, supernatural kind of shit. The second one is just an alien invasion kind of thing, and the third one being almost entirely focused on Art the Clown this time, and being a supernatural slasher. So 3 different kind of styles to this film. And I like that. Obviously, with the main one being a kind of slow burn slasher reveal as well. I also like that this wasn't afraid to kill off the kids. Because I feel like that's a thing a lot of horror movies just will not touch. For obvious reasons. A lot of horror movies will avoid killing children because it's viewed as, like, too far. It's like when you kill children, that's a little too far, But this movie just didn't give a fuck. It's just like, oh yeah, these 2 kids, 10-year-old kids or whatnot, or around that age. Yeah, we're just gonna cut their heads off, slice their body into pieces. Yeah, laugh at it. And even the first two Terrifier movies, like, didn't really do that. Like, you have some teenagers, but not like kids. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different vibe when you have like 17-year-olds compared to 10-year-olds. But the teaser for the third film kind of came back to this. If you haven't seen the teaser for the third film, just as a reminder, Terrifier 3 is also a Christmas movie. It shows a girl come down after hearing a noise at Christmas, and she sees who she thinks is Santa at the tree. Camera pans around, it's Art the Clown. He starts laughing, it cuts away, I believe, just to the title. And when it cuts back to him, there's blood everywhere, and it's not like her head or anything isn't shown like the kids' heads are in this. But it's a very much made clear that he killed her, that he killed that little girl. And I'm wondering if that means that the third movie is going to go into like a lot like of that more intense shit. There is kind of a little hint that it probably will, because apparently there was a tweet, I think from Damien Leone. It was shared on the Twitter or on the Discord server and everything. But apparently it was like one of the most fucked up scenes they've done for these movies. And there was like this little hint that maybe David Howard Thorne or someone else like that like got like physically upset or something from it. Let me see if I can like see exactly what it said again here. I could bring up Discord real quick. Here we go. Come on, Discord, load up. Yeah, here we go. It was from Damien Leone on Twitter. He said, "Can honestly say we just filmed one of the most insanely horrific scenes of the Terrifier franchise, and you'll never believe who couldn't handle it on set," followed by some emojis. "The behind the scenes is hilarious, can't wait for you all to see." And then just some hashtags. Terrifier 3, are you ready? Coming soon. So by the "you'll never believe who couldn't handle it on set," it's like it's gotta be David, right? The fact that he's saying that, it's like, who else would it be, like, for who couldn't handle it on set? That's the only thing that, like, makes sense to me for a line like that. But yeah, it's like, it's pretty wild, pretty interesting, of a little teaser there from Damien on how the movie's gonna go. So yeah, Terrifier 3 comes out in theaters, I believe, in October. Like, I want to say mid to late October. And then it'll probably come to streaming not long after. It is an independent film. It's not like this massive name Hollywood cinema film. So it's not gonna it's gonna come to streaming sooner rather than later. I'm hoping it's there by Christmas because, again, with it being a Christmas movie, we can definitely watch it for the season. But we'll see. We'll see. So, excuse me. All of that being said, tell me your thoughts on All Hallows Eve down in the comments below. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.